Hi, my name is Chef Conce, and today I'm going to teach you how to infuse butter with THC and how to make an awesome lemon pound cake using your infusion. For supplies, today I have my magical butter machine, 4 sticks of unsalted butter, an oven thermometer, 14 grams of cannabis. I have my little decarb box, and I have these little molds. These are optional, but to help me put them back into butter shape after. And I have my oven set to 250 degrees. So let's talk flour. Today I chose this lemonade strain. I got it from Canna in Astoria. And it is a sativa dominant hybrid. It came with 14 grams and it is 27% THC. If we look at the certificate of analysis here, we can see that it passed all of its tests. We can see the cannabinoid breakdown. And yeah, so like I said, it has 27.865% THC, which means the total container for 14 grams is 3,901 milligrams. This certificate of analysis came as a QR code attached to the product. And every product in the dispensary has one so that you know that your bud was lab tested and it passed all the regulations of the state. So if we look at the bud, it's very light green and it also has some orange in it. The nugs are not huge, but they're like a good medium size, all of them. It smells amazing. So when I was choosing the strain, I kind of worked backwards because I'm a pastry chef first. And I wanted to make a lemon pound cake because it's my sister's birthday and she loves lemon flavored desserts. So I was like, okay, let's see what strain would go well with lemon pound cake. Let's see if there's a lemon strain or something like that. So I looked up lemon THC strains and I found this strain lemonade at my local dispensary. So, I talked to the bud tender about it. I made sure it had the certificate of analysis attached to it. And yeah, this is the perfect choice. It smells so bright and so lemony, fresh, citrusy, very bright, loud notes. And I think that this is going to pair really well with the lemon pound cake recipe I have. So our first step is to decarb this flour. So decarbing is an essential step in this process to activate all those cannabinoids and make sure they're potent and will work for your edibles. So you don't need to have a special box like I do, but this came with my magical butter machine. But basically you have to bake the cannabis. So I put it in my little decarb box. So there she is, 14 grams of cannabis. We're gonna roast her at 250 degrees for 30 minutes and then we'll be back. So while that's baking, we're gonna clarify our butter. This isn't a necessary step, but it will be helpful because butter contains milk solids and like foam. And if we remove that, we'll be left with all the good golden butter fat. And that's what we want. We want the bud to stick to that butter fat. And that's just going to make it even more potent and a better experience. I'm using 4 sticks of butter today. And I put them all in this pot, low heat. And we're just going to let this simmer. And once it's melted, we'll be able to see the milk solids on the top and take them off. In the meantime, let's do some weed math. So again, the strain I'm using today is lemonade. It has a 27.865% THC content, which means that the total amount of milligrams of THC in these 14 grams is 3,901.1. After we decarb the flour, we're going to have about a 20% loss in THC. So we need to account for that. So by multiplying that number by 80% or 0.8, then we can find out how much THC we're going to have in total after decarb, which is 3,120.88 milligrams. Now I'm using 4 sticks of butter, which would be 452 grams. However, after we go through this whole process of infusing the butter, then it's going to have a decrease in the amount of butter we have. There's going to be a loss. So this has not accounted for that loss yet. I'm going to weigh the butter after we infuse it to make sure I know exactly how much weed butter I'm retaining, and then I'll continue to do the math and figure out exactly how much THC is in each gram of butter. You can already see the milk solids starting to form. All that white stuff is the milk solids, and that's rising to the top, and we're gonna be able to take it off, but we're gonna wait until it's fully melted. So here is our butter that has been simmering in this pot for about 10 minutes. Now I'm gonna remove all of these butter solids on the top. Okay, as you can see, the majority of the white solids are gone. I took them out. So now we have our clarified butter. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so let's unbox this delicious decarbed bud. Ooh, it looks so nice and toasted. It smells fucking amazing in my kitchen right now. Again, just very bright. That smell just hits you. Definitely, I can smell the lemonness. Now we're going to place our ingredients into the magical butter machine. So first, take off the head. Let's put this butter in. Beautiful. And now we will add our decarbed flour straight into the machine. No grinding required. So here we have the decarbed bud with the clarified butter in the machine. Let's pop on the lid. And we are going to set the temperature to 160. And we're gonna do 2 hours because this is butter. This machine also has the options for oil and tincture. And here we go. So that's all we have to do. And the machine takes care of the rest. I'll see you in 2 hours. So to strain out the cannabis from the butter, I'm going to use this super tiny, you can't even see the holes really, sieve that came with my machine. But if you don't have this, you can also use cheesecloth. And I'm going to weigh the bowl ahead of time so I know how much the bowl weighs, so that later, after I strain out the cannabis, I can just subtract this amount and know exactly how much cannabis butter I have. All right, the blinking red lights means that it's ready. Let's see it. Ooh. And now I'm going to pour this incredible magic butter liquid gold through the sieve, and we're gonna strain out all the cannabis. So as you can see, all the bud is inside the bag, and what's left over is our beautiful THC infused butter. So I'm gonna squeeze the bottom of this bag with a silicone oven mitt just to get every last drop out of it, and then we're gonna weigh it and see how much the loss was. So we have our handy dandy kitchen scale here, and the bowl we weighed earlier and it was 277 grams, and look at that, perfectly 577. So the math is super easy. You just subtract 577 minus 277 and you get 300 grams of clarified butter. So that is a very significant loss. We started with 4 sticks of butter, 113 grams each, which is, I believe, 435 grams. So we had a significant loss, and now we're gonna calculate how much THC is in each gram of this butter. Earlier, we calculated that 3,120.88 milligrams of THC were in the entire batch after decarbing. So now that we know the amount of butter, which is 300 grams of THC butter we have, we can just divide the number of milligrams in the whole batch by the number of grams of butter, and we'll get the amount of milligrams per gram of butter, which is 10.4 milligrams of THC per gram of butter. Now this is quite potent. 1 gram of butter is a very small amount. So I'm just gonna take into consideration that when I'm dosing all of my goods and everything I cook with this. So for our final step, I'm gonna be using these silicone butter molds. Each one is about 1 stick of butter. And I'm just gonna pour all this beautiful THC infused butter into these molds and put it in the fridge so I can use it for the next few months, or I could freeze it. And yeah, I'm very excited to try this lemonade infused butter. Here is our butter in the mold. As you can see, these are not filled up all the way. so you can see the actual loss in butter that we experienced. But I'm gonna put this in the fridge and it'll be ready in the morning. All right, it's the next day. Let's check out our infused butter. Ooh, it looks so good. It smells amazing. So that's what it looks like. These are tablespoons, but like I said, these are a little less than 1 stick. So that's not perfectly accurate tablespoons. So I'm going to weigh out my butter every time I use it to make sure I know the exact amount of THC that I'm putting in my food. You can see this is my wheat butter and it just looks so delicious. Can't wait to try it. And now for some final weed math. So the recipe that I'm gonna make, the lemon pound cake, is going to have 10 servings, and I want each serving to be 10 milligrams of THC. So 10 times 10 is 100, so I need 100 milligrams of THC for the entire recipe. Each gram of canna butter has 10.4 milligrams of THC, so 100 divided by 10.4 gives you 9.6 grams of canna butter that I need for the whole recipe, which isn't a lot, and I'm going to use my kitchen scale to make sure it is accurate. So I did decide to round up 9.6 to 10 grams of canna butter, and I made sure to weigh out just until it went right at 10 grams, so I didn't put too much extra. And now it's time to bake. So I got my lemons, I got all my ingredients. I'm gonna whip up this dough really quick and show you how I add the canna butter. So I'm using the recipe from Preppy Kitchen for the lemon pound cake, and it calls for 1 cup of unsalted butter, which is 227 grams. So here I weighed out 217 grams of unsalted butter, and then I have my 10 grams of canna butter, and together that makes 227 grams in total, because we don't want to add extra butter because it will change the consistency of the recipe. So instead I'm just going to be replacing it. So we're going to cream this in the KitchenAid and finish the recipe. I have some lemon zest. I have some lemon juice. We got to add the flour, sugar, everything else. And from here on out, we just follow the exact same recipe as if we didn't add canna butter. And we don't have to change anything else. Okay, the lemon pound cake is ready to go into the oven at 350 degrees for 65 to 75 minutes. I just took out the lemon pound cake from the oven. It looks so good and it smells even better. All that's left to do is to drizzle on some icing. As you can see, I cut it in half first, and then I cut it into 5 pieces on this side, so I know exactly what the 10 servings are. So this slice has approximately 10 milligrams of THC. I'm probably not going to eat the whole thing because it is quite big. But let's dig in. Cheers, THC lemon pound cake. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. It's so good. It's like not super dense like regular pound cake. It's pretty light and it tastes so lemony and delicious. And you know what? It doesn't taste like cannabis at all. For 2 reasons. One, the cannabis I chose, lemonade, complements the flavors of lemon in the cake. And also, because the canna butter that we made was so potent, I only had to use a really small amount. So this really doesn't taste like cannabis at all. It just tastes like delicious lemon pound cake. So I'm gonna keep this cake in the fridge, share it with some friends this week. I'm also gonna store my canna butter in the fridge, and I'm gonna try to use it within the next 2 to 3 months to make sure it doesn't go bad. Now, if this was for a client instead of just my friends, I would make sure that the dosing is very precise. New York State law regulations makes it so that you can only have a maximum of 10 milligrams of THC per serving. And like I said, mine's a little bit more than that. So I would definitely reduce the amount of canna butter I would use to make sure it's under that 10 milligram limit. And I would include the certificate of analysis, information about that I infused the butter myself and with what strain. And I would definitely include the dosing. I would weigh out each slice of cake to make sure it is exactly 1/10 of the whole cake. And that's just some of the ways that we are safe consuming this going forward. And that's how you make lemon pound cake using canna butter. Cheers!